I see great importance in the idea of right speech. The precept seems first and foremost to suggest verbal honesty, that is, speaking truthfully, and avoiding verbal deception, that is, telling lies. To lie, it seems, is to misrepresent reality to produce sound. Human sounds are most often sentences of words, with meaning understood by the collective to a high degree. Thus, whenever we do speak, our expression must be of personal truth, and our intention must never be to deceive. One who stops here has not attained an understanding of right speech. Thus, I must now discuss the obvious conclusive inversion. Whenever meaning diffuses inappropriately, and it is called for that we speak, to allow for silence or to otherwise avoid communication is to violate the precept. Our common tongue's lie of omission may be demonstrative of this point. Right speech is traditionally abstaining from lying, from divisive speech, from abusive speech, and from idle chatter. This is neither as profound nor as difficult as it sounds, but perhaps 1,000 times as difficult and 10,000 times as profound. Idle chatter is a widespread and easily noticeable problem on the particular medium of YouTube, especially perhaps within our loosely defined community. How many 10-minute videos could have been only 1 or 2 minute? Do we not owe each other as fellow contributors neatly packaged and compressed pieces of work? It is only a handful of us that put in the extra hours required to shave just minutes or even only seconds off of our videos. But we do this practice of avoiding idle chatter gladly, out of respect for each other, for ourselves, and for right speech. Though I cannot give any objective proof, nor suggest the induction of any subjectivity in its support, I firmly hold the belief that from right speech are all of the precepts implied. One so inclined as to practice this primary precept will soon infer a priceless and voracious wisdom. The application of an intellectual index to this wisdom is called understanding, and the triangulated union of these two ways of knowing is the transdimensional conception of what's called knowledge. As soon as one realizes that to stop progressing is to falsely accept a milestone as a finish line, one's consciousness shifts into gear and drives fancifully over the cliff's edge. What we develop along the pathless path through the gateless gates is the telema, the willpower. Many circles believe that the only known words of the Christ are, "Know thyself." Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. This is very much different from do whatever you please. The adept must know himself in order to realize his role in the play of the true will. Now a comprehension of mechanical defense becomes necessary in the pursuit of this particularly peculiar precept. When one realizes one's frightening capacity for self-deception, right speech becomes reverentially intimidating in its importance. Intellectualization can allow for complex mechanistic walls between the communicator and his beloved communicatee. Lies, of which there can exist no white variety, lend themselves to creation of isolation, to the desert island consciousness. The textures of reductive justification and shiftless rationalization are those of the makeshift adobe brick, which dries and hardens ever so quickly in that heat known to summon mirages. A lie told eventually and inevitably becomes a lie lived, from which springs the living lie, an etheric form similar to the parasitic elemental. The dishonest fool becomes deluded, accustomed to his world of smoke and mirrors and straw men. Expecting his island shore but another mirage, he drinks salt water ravenously. This incredible thirst is the world of the hungry ghost. It's a quote from a Buddhist sutra. For the person who transgresses in one thing, I tell you, there is no evil deed that is not to be done. Which one thing? Telling a deliberate lie. What then shall be our values as a community? Should not this precept of right speech and its implications serve as a North Pole for our collective moral compass? I do not feel alone in my desperate yearning for this community to take the shape of a civil, collaborative union that employs everything in moderation, even excess, and everything in excess, especially moderation. How dynamic yet forceful we could be. The only dogmatic principle has to be right speech. With the aforementioned theory as backing, I hereby propose we move forward with a suggested course of action. There is a wonderful idea for social implementation of right speech called Miller's Law, developed by a psychology professor from Princeton. Its two parts are as follows. Part 1. To understand what another person is saying, you must assume that it is true, and try to imagine what it could be true of. Part 2. One must make it possible for others to apply Part 1 to their own speech. I propose that personal practice of right speech, combined with collective implementation of this Miller's Law, in our community will take us all to that next level of which we dream. We will get there either together or not at all. Love is the law. Love under will. Please let me know that you are with me. Thank you.